Latin America.
Hi everybody, my name is Andy. I'm the founder of Agave Lab here in Guadalajara. Before that I was in San Francisco for 15 years doing venture-backed startups. Been living in Mexico now for 7 years. We invest in early stage startups that are targeting both Mexico and Latin America. Thanks.
Thanks. My name is Mariano Amartino. I work at Guaira. I run Latin America for Guaira. Guaira is the accelerator of Telefónica, and we do what every accelerator does, but we do that in a larger scale. And thanks everyone for coming.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Miller, co-founder of Wild Horse Labs. We work with entrepreneurs around the world to help them connect with investors around the world, from angels, venture capital, and private equity. We help our entrepreneurs by advising and training them to get them ready to be as successful as they can be. We work with universities as well to help the entrepreneurs in the incubators and, of course, with the accelerators. And I've been asked by my co-founder to tell you I am an entrepreneur professor.
Buenas tardes, everyone. It is absolutely amazing to be here in Guadalajara, first time. My name is Julia Diltz. I am the founder, CEO of an angel group located in Southern California called Maverick Angels. We have been funding early stage companies for the last 8 years, have quite California, throughout the country, and right now we're working with a USC, that's University of Southern California Accelerator, helping that team win for Demo Day. Thank you again for having us here.
Eso, me gusta la energía con los aplausos. Andy, I would like to hear from you the obvious question, why Mexico? I think I've answered this thing about 30 times since I've been here. Everyone says, like, why would you come to Mexico? You were in San Francisco. Monday? Yes, other than the tequila and mezcal. So I just really want to encourage you to look around the place that you live and realize what a tremendous place you're living in. And what I think I hear a lot of people say here is, gosh, I really want to go to San Francisco or something. And I think you're sitting in the middle of one of the most exciting opportunities on the globe right now. I'll just give you an example. Take a look at the advertising market space. I did some numbers on that recently. Advertising market in Latin America is growing at 9% annually. In the United States, it's growing at negative 0.4%. The component of advertising that's online digital is growing at 30% a year. So the growth numbers here in Mexico and in Latin America are phenomenal. So you're surrounded by tremendous opportunities that would allow you, in the United States, all of the real easy stuff, all the real low-hanging fruit has been harvested. In Mexico, it's wide open. So I encourage you to look around you and just realize you're in one of the best places. You're exactly where you need to be. Thank you for that. Sometimes we need gringos to remind us about that. Santiago, you have some interesting hard numbers, a market understanding about Mexico compared to Brazil, Argentina, and the rest of the region. So can you also tell us, with that perspective, why Mexico?
Okay, yeah, Pepe. Well, personally at CASEC, we believe that Mexico is the only market, apart from Brazil, you have in Latin America, that can sustain $100 million valuations in only one market. When companies start in Chile or in Argentina, we immediately start looking to expand into Brazil or other markets because building a company in our country, we don't have the scale, we don't have the number of people, the retail sales, or the number of credit cards or whatever. Whereas in Mexico, when we see an opportunity where companies focused only in being leaders in one market can appear in the near future. That's one of the main reasons we believe this market it's the biggest opportunity in the next few years in the region.
Thanks. And for you guys, how is the relationship with Tijuana, with Baja California, or with the whole Mexico? Do you see Mexican people, Mexican entrepreneurs starting companies there? Is there any kind of involvement or specific relationship because you're based in Southern California?
No, you're the man.
That's a wonderful question. Julie and I have been here talking to many of the entrepreneurs, and we are impressed, just like Andy. There's so many opportunities for you here to get started, to grow your business, get customer as well as investor interest. And quite frankly, that's why we're here. Julie and I are investors, and we have a great network of investors, not just in the United States, but in Korea and also Europe. So what we see for you is to help you get what you want and need. We've been hearing all kinds of complaints about, gee, there needs to be more investors in Mexico, and there needs to be more support for us. Well, you're attracting investors from other countries, so that says a lot. Congratulations to you.
You're also our neighbor just south of us. And as part of the Americas, it's so important that we reach out to you and give you the resources and the funding resources in which we have in the United States. We want to help you to stay here if necessary, which we would like to see. Like Andy said, you have an amazing platform. And it's okay to reach out. Don't be scared to reach out to investors outside of Mexico if that's the case. Eventually, your investor pool will grow here. But in the meantime, with all this amazing hot talent, don't be afraid to approach other investors, such as in Europe, in other parts of South America, the United States. We're looking for good opportunities with good teams. And so far what we've seen absolutely has blown me away. This is very similar to what we see in Las Vegas trade shows. So congratulations. You all are doing really amazing work that's going to change the world. So congrats.
Thanks for that. So let's start with some tips for entrepreneurs. So step one, how do we reach out? How do we get in contact with investors? And so let us know, each of you, how do you get your pipeline? Where do you find entrepreneurs? Who are the people you trust, or the platforms, or the whatever, the partners you trust?
Okay, thanks. Well, the main two sources of pipeline, a lot of entrepreneurs know our fund and they contact us. And when you will contact a fund, just get an introduction. Never send just a cold email. That doesn't work. You get a very bad position in the pipeline list if you do that. The best thing to do is to find someone who knows you and who knows the fund. He shouldn't lie about you. He should be the one who does the intro. That's just it. And when we look for companies, that's the other way we find companies. We look at verticals we find very attractive. For example, I don't know, we are very interested in a company doing the same that Glassdoor is doing in the US. I don't know if you know the model. And we just start looking to every team going into that vertical. We start meeting every team that's going into the vertical, and we just choose the best team and we invest.
Well, I guess for where I find, obviously referrals are really important, and that's where I get large volume of them. But I generally look outside of the tech space for people. I find a lot of really quality people that may be doing things that are on the margin of technology and other applications that may not be what I would consider hard tech. And I find a lot of good talent there because generally it's hard to find seasoned internet entrepreneurs here, given that the internet just was invented yesterday here. There aren't people, I've seen a lot of investors saying, I'm not finding any seasoned entrepreneurs who've got 5 years of history. Well, of course you're not, because there is not 5 years of history here. So I'm looking for people not only that have some familiarity with like the internet space, but I would prefer someone that actually knows what a balance sheet is and knows how to run a business, more of a pragmatic person. You can learn the internet. So I'm looking for just quality people that might not necessarily be the people in this room even. So.
In Guaira we have one difference, which is our scale. So basically what our deal flow comes from what we call global calls, where every single country where Guaira is based opens up a platform and let entrepreneurs register there. Then we start communicating with all the Telefónica and Movistar press relations, and we, besides that, which is the standard procedure, and we open 3 of these calls every single year, what we do is a lot of scouting. For instance, in Mexico we have our main office in Distrito Federal. However, we have people that goes constantly to different cities and different events and hackathons looking for startups that we do like and try to get them to get to the wider platform and try to see if they fit within our criteria. Then we try to have some sort of relationships with some company builders, which is interesting because at some point it's like Santiago said. I mean, we have company builders that when they come to us and tell us these are the companies that we are building, they have already filtered them out, and we start to I mean, that startups start all the process one step above the rest. So this is what we do, mostly online, and then scouting people all around the countries.
Networking for you is gold. I mean, because we're here today, we now know 4 men we did not know before. We have the opportunity to meet all of you. You have the opportunity to meet hundreds, thousands of people that you can collaborate with, work with, hopefully raise money from. You have to get out and network. I like to say you have to ask what you want. You need to ask what you need so that you can get your business growing. I used to think it's who I knew. Doesn't matter who I know. It's who knows me. So when I call, they will pick up the phone. So make sure you track everybody you know. Keep it in a database. We do. Because this will be important to you. You will need these people, and they will need you, and you will grow your company. I mean, we work with investors. Let me answer the question differently. We work with investors because they ask us, do you know any good deals? Our investors we don't want deals, we want good deals. So if one of them sends us something, we know it's a good deal because they've looked at it already. So please, know your people, know how to work with them, make sure they know you, keep track of them, let them know how you're doing.
Great job.
Once again, as far as networking is concerned, it's so important to have your business cards available right then and there. So the minute you meet somebody, it doesn't matter if it's, don't bypass if they're not an investor. They might end up being an advisor or a customer or a strategic alliance in which you will need. So consider everybody somebody that you can utilize for your business in different ways. Now we belong to an angel group called Tech Coast Angels. It's the #1 angel group in in the United States. And the pipeline in which Pepe was referring to is online. You submit an application, and if you happen to know an angel in the group, that always helps. How do you get to know angels? It's a balance between being in your office and doing tactical work and being outside of your office and being strategic. Whenever you go to an event, have at least 3 goals in mind that you are going to absolutely conquer. You're going to meet this person, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. So I highly recommend that you take that balance, because it is on who you know. You are going to know those angel investors. We know them through 14 different angel groups. We're affiliated with 14 angel groups within the United States. So we also know crowdfunders, such as Rafe, crowdfunder. So it's the different types of investors that you need to know who you're looking for, and from there you court them. Don't stalk them, but court them and have them get to know who you are and be a champion.
Thank you. Moving forward, I think the next step to know how to reach out to investors and get their attention is to know ourselves as entrepreneurs. When are we ready to fundraise, to raise capital? What makes a good deal? You were talking about good deals, Michael. So for CASEC, for example, in the region, and for all of you, what is a good deal, and how can they know if they're ready to fundraise?
So we look at 3 things. We look mainly at the team. Someone was saying that this is like 70% team before in the accelerator talks. I don't know what's the exact number, but the first thing we look is the quality of the team. And there's no way around it, you know. You are a good team or you aren't, but there's nothing you can do to change that. Just the way you present yourself and the reference you give. You need to study the investor. You need to know what type of business they are investing in and why they would be a good fit for you. So that's the main point. And then you must be going after an incredible opportunity, a very large opportunity. We see a lot of good teams that tell us, well, I'm going after this, and if everything goes well, in 5 years I will have 10 customers. So that they are a great team, but they don't have the large enough market, and you see a lot of that in Latin America, because in the US at least everything is huge, so every market is a huge market. But here, if you go after, I don't know, every hospital in Argentina, perhaps even if you capture everyone, if they pay you $100 per year, your business won't be huge. So you must think a lot about that, and how do you present that?
So I think I have a kind of a contrarian view to this. Everyone always says it's about the team, or it's about the great idea. I don't think it's about the idea. Because I remember talking to the guys at Google early on and thinking, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Another search engine? We've got 3, there's Alta Vista, there's Yahoo, do we need, and these guys are idiots. I said the same thing about Twitter, by the way. Just like blogging, which you can only do 140 characters. Who's going to use that? So it just goes to show, like, really dumb ideas can succeed. Team? Pick a good team? Of course. How do you know what a good team is? People seem nice, they seem hardworking, they seem smart. Sometimes you don't know that they also have a heroin habit till 2 months later. So for me, the most important thing is traction. Because traction fixes everything. Traction tells me that the team's good, or you wouldn't have the traction. Traction also tells me there's a market there. Traction also tells me that people are willing to pay for it. So I think it's something that you guys, a lot of it, well, try to get introduced to a VC. Well, how? I don't know anyone. The only thing you have in your command right now is start working. Start building a product. Just start small. Start getting customers, start getting revenue. And then when you talk to an investor, you can say, hey, you don't know me, but look, it's making money, it works. It takes a lot of risk off my shoulders. I can look at something and say, like, okay, you guys are probably a pretty good team because you've managed to pull this off, however that is. So, for what that's worth.
Well, it's interesting because it seems that every single one of us look at different stuff. So basically what we look, it's how the team is able to implement ideas. I mean, how they can deliver the stuff that they are talking. I mean, if we talk about huge companies in Latin America, for instance, Mercado Libre, just to talk about the founders of CASEC, when Mercado Libre was born, there were like 3 other auction sites in the region, and they were founded within 1 week of difference. So basically what they make them won the war was the ability to deliver and to innovate. At Guaira we do believe that the ability to deliver is how fast you can create your product, how can you describe how analytical are you at describing the milestone for your project, the KPIs that we have to look at. Then we will, as an accelerator, our work is to help you grow as fast as you can. But I always say that a positive EBITDA is more interesting than any single PowerPoint presentation or elevator pitch that you can give us. And if you look at that and you have a good idea and the idea and the team are good, that will be shown to us in a good implementation. And this is what we look. I mean, we look at how can you deliver, what are you doing right now when you came to us asking for money and asking to be part of Guaira. And what you have to understand is that every single VC, every single accelerator has to deal with hundreds of applications of startups. So when Andy says, okay, why this VC instead of other, is I always say the same, is you have to make your, how you say deberes? Tu tarea. Yeah, you have to make your duties. I mean, you have to understand what market are you trying to get and which VC is really working on that market. And that piled with a good quality of delivering will be key to get at least within Guaira. And I think that in every single VC.
I ask other investors all the time, I say, when do you write a check and hand it over to the entrepreneur? And the best answer I've ever received was, when my greed overcomes my fear. What he meant was, I've analyzed the management team, I've analyzed the product, I've analyzed the market myself, I've looked at the financials, I've looked at the demand, and don't forget, you have to be able to compete, know your competition, that something in me says, I would be stupid not to get involved with this company. So, make sure you let us know what your opportunities are. We see plans all the time that say, we're in $1 billion market. Well, that's really exciting. Well, what market segments are you going to initially launch into, successfully capture, hold off competition, so we know you can do it? Don't forget, we're investing our money in you so that we're all successful. We want to know you can do it. So let me give you this other example. I was in an audience on a big event like this. On the panel, there was a woman entrepreneur, been successful with 4 different companies. She had a venture capitalist, her lawyer, and her industry expert. Very charismatic, very successful, wonderful to listen to. Somebody asked her, how do you get more money for your next round? She pulled a piece of paper out of her briefcase, waved it around, and said, this is everything I need to accomplish in 12 months, and if I do, he, and she's pointing at her venture capitalist, will give me another round of money, right? And he's going, oh yeah. She made him so much money, I swear, he followed her around like a puppy. He couldn't wait to hear the next deal from her. Your credibility matters. Your financial projections are what we look at. That's your promise to us that you're going to make those results on time.
So for those of you who are very, very early, the first thing we see is that we want to see some of your own money in the ventures to show that you're committed to what you're doing. And this is not just something that you're just cooked up. This is something you're committed to for many years, hard work, and we call it skin in the game. So, not $1 million, we didn't expect that, but we want to see some money. Then, typically in the US anyway, we see friends and family. Your friends and family, of course, there are pros and cons to that, but we see that before you go to an angel. So angels look for two things specifically, and it is past prototype and also at least one recurring customer. That's what we want to see. However, in the 10 years I've been an angel investor, I've seen people write checks just because they loved the entrepreneur. Now that's not always, but going back again, if you've got a rock star team that you know can figure out problems and you know that it will come to you before the crisis to have you help them and utilize your resources, that's the kind of entrepreneurs I know I want to work with. I don't want that phone call at midnight that said, oh no, we're in really big trouble. You want to benchmark your successes and your plan. We want to see recurring benchmarks that are met. So give yourself goals. That's what investors want to see, because we invest in accelerated growth. We want to ramp. We want to see not a mom and pop company that's just going to hang out for a couple years and that's what your business is. We don't fund those types of businesses. We fund businesses that are going to grow stealthily and become, most likely, the best way these days is by becoming acquired. So what we like to see is for you to already start to begin the process of looking for those people who you want to acquire, those companies, and start to get to know them by going to these events and asking people who they know. Because the best way really is the humanity of us. When it gets down to human relationships, that's when deals are made. It's not the products making the deal, it's you. So keep that in mind. Your human, we call it human capital, your currency. Your human currency means so much to us. And don't forget about passion. We see it, we can feel it, and we want that. It's a requirement. So be passionate and show it. Don't be afraid to show it.
That's awesome. And before we open up for questions, let's change the conversation. Now it's your chance to pitch entrepreneurs. What do you offer for entrepreneurs in terms of money, advice, network?
Okay, money, advice, network. Okay. Or more. Okay, as an angel investor, clearly, we're looking for, obviously, coin term, right? Good deals that are going to ramp, with a stellar team that's going to stick it out and problem solve like I mentioned. So we are scouting for those types of entrepreneurs. We don't care where they're located. Because of technology nowadays, we can do business around the world. We also have access to funders. We have 10,000 people in our database, and we find out what you need as far as your resources, both funding resources, because we know the funders globally, and also your resources beyond capital. People you need, we call them the gray hairs or no hairs. They've been there, done that, been successful, like him. And you write those down. You write down your wish list, and we help you fulfill that by a training course we do, both online and globally we've done it. I've mentioned that before, where it's an immersive class. We show you how to present in front of angels. It's the must-see 12C slides. So we give you a template as to how to present into angels, to also be poised to get ready to the next step, which is our VC friends. So I would say that, did I get that? Funding, that covered it. Okay, there's more, but that's enough for now.
Okay. Remember the psychology of the investor. I don't know how many deals each of you see every month, but we get brain damage. We see so many. So investors, I think, have a disease. They develop a disease. It's called attention deficit disorder. We just want you to get to the point. We don't want the history of your life. We don't want, what's going to happen. We just want to know about your deal and what you're going to do if you receive money. Julia's mentioned this program that she designed is by investors to help entrepreneurs understand how to pitch to us so that we get it. Think of it, your pitch should be like a cartoon. If we have to read it twice, we didn't get it. Lastly, one investor said to me, if my grandmother can understand the pitch and a 5-year-old can understand the pitch, it is a fabulous pitch. Make it easy for us, please.
Great. And now it's my turn of pitching. I didn't pitch for the last 5 years, so sorry. Well, basically, Guaira, what in our case is quite simple. Guaira is, as I said, is the accelerator of Telefónica Group. We are based in 14 countries. What we give startups that we try to get them to our space is $15,000 in investment and $15,000 in in-kind services. What we give them in return is a program of acceleration which lasts 9 months, and all the support and power that Telefónica Group can add as value to the entrepreneur and the startup. For instance, we are really good not only at mobile or at our traditional business, but we are really good at security, Internet of Things, e-commerce. So what we try to do is try to focus on the things that we do know and try to give them back to the entrepreneurs. We don't take majority stakes. I mean, we take usually between 5 and 10% of the company in return for this investment, and this is basically what we do. Then we have our services on top of Guaira. I mean, we are part of a larger strategy called Open Future, which tries to take the entrepreneur from their earliest stage to the capital markets with funds like Amerigo and other funds that Telefónica has, and all this strategy is called Open Future. But as Guaira, we give this that I said as 2 minutes ago. So this was my pitch. Too small?
Sold. Good job. I want to go to his incubator.
Yeah.
I'll put my incubator inside your incubator. So Agave Lab is, put up your hands, who knows about Agave Lab? Gosh, almost nobody. They got to do some marketing. So we're in Guadalajara. We just do incubation here in Guadalajara, so if you want to be in Agave Lab, you got to move here. We have a very strange process. I think we're the only ones that do this. You come to Agave Lab, and I sit down with you, and we spend a couple days coming up with a 2-month plan. It's an entrance plan, and it's about, you set up a bunch of goals, like this is the number of customers I want, this is the amount of revenue I want, this is the product traction I want, and then we work together. You're not in the incubator yet, and if you hit those goals, and they could be very modest, I'll give you $50,000. You move into the facility, and you spend 6 months in the incubator. So it's very, it works out really great for me because by the time you get to the incubator, we've already removed a lot of the risk. We know there's a product there, we know that there's a market, we know that the team can develop, can hit the goals. So that's what we do. We have a 6-month incubation period here in Guadalajara. So if you got an idea, I want to hear it.
Great. At CASEC, first, what we are looking for companies from Latin America and targeting Latin America. We are not looking for global opportunities. We are looking for companies doing e-commerce, marketplaces, health, financial solutions, education, and we're also looking into enterprise companies. And in terms of what we can give, we are a very entrepreneur-focused fund. Our fund was built by entrepreneurs and not by bankers, so we like to work very near with the entrepreneurs. We help them a lot with marketing, with product. We have specialists in marketing, in product, in technology, in PR. We help a lot with HR, and overall you get a lot of strategic advice, experience from the partners who scaled already a business, and we help a lot our companies to raise new rounds. Our companies we have 25 portfolio companies, and they have raised over $600 million in capital in the last 2 years and a half from funds like Sequoia, Accel Partners, Insight, Redpoint, and all of the big US funds, Tiger Global. So that's what we think we can give the entrepreneurs.
Why not global opportunities?
We think that Sequoia, Accel, Redpoint, they are doing that much better than us, so we don't like to go there.
That's interesting. Ahora sí, cualquiera de ustedes que tenga una pregunta, siéntase cómodo de hacerla en español. Y si pueden pasar por aquí atrás con el chico de azul, se los agradeceré mucho. Ahí pueden ir haciendo colita para las preguntas. Yo traduzco si quieren.
Hello, good afternoon. From pitching to ideas to investors and incubators like 500 and Plug and Play Tech Center, one of my greatest doubts is what's more important, the exit strategy or the financial performance and all that stuff?
Take that. That's an easy one. That's an easy one. No, the financial performance. If you can perform financially, there's an exit.
I don't have to add anything.
Short and sweet. ¿Quién sigue?
I not understand all you saying, but I have a question for Andy.
Go ahead. Podemos hablar en español si quieres.
Okay. What are the most important factors in the company?
Okay, the first one is traction. Second one is traction. And the third one is traction. Or customers, revenue, and product. That's all I care about. Because if you can deliver those three things, I know the other stuff is okay.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon. My question is, once you decide to choose to invest in a project, you decide to invest and give the money to the company, the entrepreneur. After that, what happens? You expect recover the money, and you still being the partner of the company, and for how long?
Okay, so let me make sure I get it. How long are we a partner with the company? What's one of your questions? Okay, so angels are angel investors, which normally invest $25,000 US to $50,000 US into a company, minimum. Then there are angels called super angels, which are extremely wealthy individuals who can, when we say, wipe out a round. In other words, they can write you a check for your whole round. Oftentimes, an angel group does not fund you completely. We syndicate deals. That's the good thing about angels, is that we syndicate deals not just in one country. We can actually syndicate throughout the world. So with super angels, at least with my group that I've had, they ask for a board seat. So we're talking board of directors seat. And they act as mentors. And the one in particular I know who actually is an angel investor in 8 different angel groups in Southern and Northern California and Silicon Valley. He has quarterly meetings with all of his CEOs. So you report back. And you want to make sure, like I talked about before with those benchmarks, he's going to give you benchmarks, and you better make them. So I think I answered your question. What was the rest of it? I'm sorry. How long will we be? Okay, until you exit. which we hope you do, of course. We understand angel investing is very risky. Investing is risky. So we are with you throughout. One thing I do want to say, when you are funded, we would like to see a quarterly report. Oftentimes we write checks and we never hear from the entrepreneurs again. We don't know if they tanked or we don't know if they had this amazing ROI for us. ROI is really important. So our goal obviously is to make money, to mentor you and to make money, ROI. We like to see 10 times our money back. Excuse me, 10 times our money back. So whatever we put in, we want to see 10 times at least of that money. Does that answer your question? Gracias.
Also, angels syndicate. In other words, Julia finds a deal she likes. She will call other angels she knows that might be interested. I used to think, and forgive me ladies, I used to think women gossiped a lot more than men. I was wrong. Men gossip way more than women do. If one of us get a deal we really like, we just talk to all the guys and say, oh, look at this, you must get involved. So that's what you want to do. Get involved with one investor. We have a lot of friends.
Yeah, in terms of the time, answering the last question, it's like Julia said, we expect to exit when it's the right time to exit, but our fund has a lifetime of 10 years, so if we don't exit in 10 years, we will be unhappy. If we exit in 10 years, we will be happy. That's the time limit, so you have a lot of time to make it work. Yeah, when we invest as a venture capital firm, we take around 20% of your equity. It can be 30, but it will difficultly be less than 20. We will put one of the partners in the board as a board member, and we will be like really involved. We spend a lot of time working with our portfolio companies. It's different than angel investment, where you have so many companies that you cannot be in touch with all of them.
One of the interesting things of not being an angel but being an accelerator, I mean, we already invested in 350 companies in less than 3 years. We expect to close this year with more than 420 investments, so at some point it's impossible for us to have one monthly meeting with every single CEO. What we do, try to make people understand, or try to entrepreneurs understand, is that when you receive money, what you have is a partner, and an investor needs to be treated as someone that trusted in you and your idea. So at some point you have to give them back the information that they need to know that their investment is at good hands. I mean, we have a lot of examples of people that invested that did wrong things with the money that we gave them, and we write off the company. I mean, we send that money to loss, and that's it. But you have to give them the investors, or at least you have to have an investor that cares about your company, because it means that they care about their money. And at some point we all are here to earn a little bit of money. I mean, it's not wrong to earn money and grow a company and all that stuff. So basically it's information that you have to give them back.
Hello everyone. I have a question. I have a startup, and right now I'm developing a software. I already see the analysis of my competition. I have already clients that are waiting for my product. But I have a question. I'm working right now with my friends, with a group of friends. We don't know what's better for us and for you to work together. How can I get more success with your investments? And my question is in the developing area, in the developing stage, in the developing stage, or when I finish my product, where is the part where you as investment can be more success with me also. Should I ask for investment in the developing stage, or should I ask for investment when I deliver my first beta version?
Please understand, all investors have different preferences. We don't all come with the same expectations. So by knowing the investor, you know what they're interested in and what they're not interested in. And as I said before, we gossip, so we have a lot of friends that we may not like it, but they may. So to answer your question, some individual investors will get involved in the seed round. They like to get in early. That's their preference. Some like to see a prototype. Some like to see customer traction. It depends what stage you're in. So it's important to let the investor know that so you don't waste your time. And then the investor has more time to hopefully refer you to somebody who will be interested.
I forgot to mention something really important and I'm involved with as well is crowdfunding. I am a good supporter of crowdfunder, and that is a wonderful way for angels. In fact, a lot of our, a number of our companies are simultaneously raising money with crowdfunding platforms and at the same time raising money with angels. What crowdfunding does for a company like you, in an investor's eyes, it validates the market. If you start having customers, if you start having people really interested in what you're doing, if you're gaining traction, that means a lot to us. So one thing that you could consider is going on a crowdfunding platform such as Crowdfunder, besides the money that your whole team puts in, as I said, and besides the friends and family round. That would be a really good, inexpensive way for you to start. And also, of course, you got these amazing incubators and accelerators down here. You have a lot of options. So if you have advisors or if you need advisors, there's plenty of people here to help you and figure out the plan of attack for your own company, because every company has different needs. But there are different ways of getting your company, even in an early stage, to get started.
Before you go, hey, are you from DF or from Guadalajara?
I'm from Toluca.
So I would not do this alone. You should find an incubator. Go to Huayra, go to me, go to 500. Because you're surrounded by people. Imagine a room with 50 people in it, all doing the same thing you're doing, trying to build companies. You'll be a lot smarter really quickly. So I would encourage you to find an incubator and get involved in some sort of incubation model.
Thank you.
Just to finish, every time is a good time to raise money. You just have to find an investor that's willing to put money at that stage. It depends on the investor. It's not only you. The term.
Hi, I'm Marcos, and first of all, I don't want to have only money. I wanna be with someone. I wanna find a partner who get involved with all my projects. So my first question is, how can I get your help?
What type of help? What type of help? ¿Qué ayuda necesitas más específicamente?
For example, the materials that I need, some of the capacitación that I need.
Training?
Training, and just somebody who maybe be there and tell me, well, what do you need now? I won't give you money, but what do you need? You need some contacts. You need to find somebody.
I got you. I know what you're looking for. Are you from here?
No, I'm from Mexico City.
Mexico City. Well, startup weekends, hackers and founders. There's dozens of organizations where people get together and just help each other. Find a couple friends that are into the same thing, and the best way to learn is just do it. Just start creating a company. It'll probably suck and it'll probably fail, but do it anyway. Just create something, find other people, and I see a lot of people in Mexico that they feel like they need permission to start. You have my permission. Start.
I love what he just said. Start it anyway. It might suck, it might fail, but that's how you learn. And we know that. As long as you have a good excuse why it didn't work out for investors, we understand because we've done the same thing. So please understand that. And also, I think it's really important to find some trusted advisors. And when you go to these events, look for trusted advisors, like-minded advisors. Do your due diligence on people and make sure they're, someone said on the panel, not a heroin addict. Make sure that they're like-minded and they actually can work with you and coach you and mentor you, because it's true. You can't do it alone, but there are people there to help you, and it sounds like you have an amazing community in Mexico of many opportunities.
I would suggest you find people who have been there, done that. I like to say that experience is what you gain after it's too late. So find people who have been beat up, who have failed a lot, who have a success or two to help you.
Just to finish the thought, I think that what Mike said is great, but you should not ask for help. You should never ask for help. You should ask for help on something in particular. When you want to speak with someone, you should really know in your mind what he can help you with, and you should ask for that. Because if not, people is lazy. Like, if you ask for help in general, they think that they will have to do a lot of work for you. You should ask them, like, Mike, could you introduce me with something in the valley that is investing in this kind of company? And then he will do it because it's easy for him.
Well, thanks to all of you, but what I'm trying to do is something new, something totally different. What I'm trying to do is only in Europe. It's an aero generator who can provide all the electricity of your house only with just a small thing like this size. So it isn't so expensive, and yeah, I was trying to find all the information, and I'm reading all the books, I'm taking the courses, but I only need the material because I have almost everything except the materials and just a little training in electricity electronics.
When you're talking about material, you mean material for your product?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a recovering manufacturing engineer. I love engineers. I just don't want to do it anymore. I love engineers because not only do they know how to build things, they know how to find the stuff they need to build it. Go find some engineers and ask them, how do I get what I need? I'm too old, I don't remember any of that anymore. Otherwise, I would help you right now.
I have another question, which actually is mostly for Pepe. You started speaking about failure. I think many entrepreneurs sometimes are afraid of failing. Can you give your perspective of how important failure is? And obviously, we want Pepe to speak, but also I guess a few of the investors about why entrepreneurs should be speaking about it and how should they speak about it?
Well, I think failure is relative. I think failure only happens when you don't stand up again. So that's exactly, I think, what Andy was saying. Just try, fuck it up, as we say in our events, and learn from it, and then try again. If you don't try again, then it is a failure. I do want to make one point about failure. I think there's two ways of looking at it. Obviously, you're going to fail. It's going to happen. Don't just get used to that. But I kind of think in this industry a little bit, I don't know what you guys think about this, but with some of the incubators in the U.S. especially, it's like they're trying to fail. You know, they take the money and they're like, I'm going to invest a little bit in 200 companies and one's going to be successful. And I mean, what I'm trying to do is like, yeah, there's going to be failure, but there are ways of like reducing that failure. So it was like the spray and pray, just throw a bunch of money and hope somebody is successful with it. What I'd like to see is some of us in the investment community take a more hands-on approach to say, well, because there's a lot of companies that failed that didn't really need to fail. They just needed a little bit more assistance to be successful. So I think that's a challenge to us to try to take a little bit more of a hands-on approach in a company that's maybe on the edge, just, oh, screw it, I'll just invest in another one, let this one fail. Maybe dig in and give these guys a little bit more support, especially here in Mexico where we don't have a long history and heritage and accumulated culture of entrepreneurship. We're all learning together. So I mean, I think that's something that Mexico specifically could really benefit from.
When you fail, and you will, we failed, I'm not going to tell you how many times, never, ever, ever lose your enthusiasm. Failure is just another step to success. But I do want to say that most people are not afraid of failure. They're afraid of success, because that means more expectations will be put on them. Glorify your success. You earned it.
As far as failure is concerned, there's this stigma when it comes to somebody failing. It's like they're not as good as everyone else. They are not smart, or, I mean, that's what we worry about. It's a cultural thing, too. It happens in the U.S. as well, and some of us, mavericks just get out there and do it anyway. It happens in Asia when we teach there. So I think it's being brave. It's being pioneers. Every great pioneer, no matter where they came from in this world, failed many times, and you don't hear about that. You don't hear about Thomas Edison failing, or Einstein, or any of these amazing great men and women of our history, but they did. Some even got persecuted for it. So, when it comes to you, once again, justify the failure. Let us know as investors, no matter what type of investor we are, let us know what happened. Be honest, because we're going to find out anyway. Say what happened, and then tell us how you fixed it and what you learned from it. That's the key, is to find out what did you learn from it, because we don't necessarily want to see that you've never done this before and you're scared. Well, if you're scared, we'll be scared. So get out there and be warriors. Have confidence and give yourselves permission. You have to give yourself permission before we do. You have to be okay with no matter what happens, and you're going to give it the best go possible.
Very quickly, Phil Friends and I co-founded an event series called the Fuck Up Nights, and we talk about business and professional failure. And we've learned that entrepreneurs fail because of two things, statistically. Because they run out of gas, of energy, of passion, and investors hate that. Like, you could do more, and you're not doing more. That's not a good explanation of your failure. And so when you raise, and the other one is because they always have issues with their co-founders. So yeah, egos, expectations, different visions, and whatever. So if you're gonna raise money, just think that you will be married to an investor for 7 to 10 years, so you cannot get tired. That's it. Any other comments, just to wrap it up? We're done? Well, thank you very much. This is great.